Well, hello, Nicole. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
I'm
Excited to be
good.
here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you and have you share your incredible journey on YouTube. Why don't you share with our listeners and viewers here kind of the Cliff Notes version of what got you here? I know you've been on YouTube and doing this content creation thing for a long time, but recently seen some amazing success. So let take us along for that journey.
Okay, so YouTube, I think that the YouTube started, I took a course, it was sponsored by American Express, and it was like this business course that I went to. And one of my breakout sessions was this was before social media was even social media. And it was, so let's say this was 2010. And so it was like around, I think December, maybe 2009, what have you. And so I took this course, and they had a flip cam, this girl that was like doing this class. And she said, it's not a big deal. You can create an audience, and you can take around your camera, and you can just show, like, look what I'm doing now. And I was like, I think I can do that. Like, let me see if I can do that. Like, and I just started my YouTube channel that month. I think it was January of 2010. And I was like, let me educate. And just, I was in corporate cosmetics before doing that. And I thought, this is a really great opportunity to share my knowledge with my audience. And it was I started with a flip cam. Like, I literally put my little logo on my flip cam, and I had this huge tripod for it. So I had this little camera and then the tripod, and I would take it around with me. And it was the worst sound. It was like the worst everything. It was like the worst quality, but you had to start somewhere. And
Yes.
that's really how I started. And I would just, do makeup tutorials or show my clients, when I was doing different procedures. And that's really how I started YouTube. I had no idea what I was doing. I just like went and did it.
Wow. And so when you were doing it, I'm assuming it was more of like a hobby, something kind of fun. At what point did it become more serious for you?
Well, as an esthetician and makeup artist in my studio, it was kind of an extension of my business of trying to just, get brand awareness and do something where it was part of my business. So I don't know if I would really consider it a hobby. It wasn't something that was like my main job, because obviously I
Mhm.
was seeing clients all day. I was traveling. I was doing all of these different weddings. So it was really, so 2010 through 2014, doing all these makeup tutorials, trying to be like everyone else, because it's kind of like, what are the trends, what's going on? And it was really the beginning of YouTube, when people were really hitting it big on their platforms. And I felt like, is anyone watching this? Like, this is like an abyss. Like, I'm just like I just felt like I kept doing it, but I felt like, I keep having to show up, and I don't really feel I'm trying to be like what everybody else is doing. So it really turned for me in 2014, 2015, when I went through an IVF journey, which I wasn't expecting to do. So I went through this like infertility journey, and it just became so rigorous, going to all these doctor's appointments in the morning and traveling, and just the amount of wear and tear on your body trying to do this. I did 5 rounds in 1 year. So this is 2015. And I just couldn't maintain the schedule and the uploading and the editing while I was like just being, I felt like
Going through something so personal. Yeah.
it was just so hard. And so I got to the point where I was like, I can't do it anymore. So I came out to my audience and said, hey, listen, I know everybody wants like the beautiful makeup tutorial. Like, my life's really like a big, pretty mess. And I was just like, I just have to be real. Like, this is what's happening. My hair is exploding at the same time. So I was going through like 2 very taboo experiences, because back in 2015, it's hard for people to realize now, but not a lot of people were talking about IVF. It was very like, no one really wanted to talk about it. It was kind of, like not the thing that you want to be like, oh, hey, this is what I'm going through. And then also with gray hair, no one was doing it. Like, no one was doing it. I couldn't
Mm.
even find one person on Pinterest. So now it's like everybody has a million accounts and the Silver Journey and Silver Sisters, but no one was doing it. So I felt very isolated with YouTube and not really feeling like I fit in. And then now here I'm in my 30s and I'm going gray. Like, so that's where it really was my pivotal point with my YouTube in 2015. And the funny thing about it is that that's when I really gained my audience, is when I became very authentic. And I was like, hey, listen, my life's really a mess and it's really hard. And this is what I'm doing. And I started a second channel so I could spare my beauty people. I didn't want to like take them through that crazy journey. So I started a second channel just to vlog and show what I was doing, and hopefully to help any other girls that were possibly going through it and couldn't really be that open about it. And so that's really when my channel changed, is 2015.
But you had two channels though. So the original.
I did. I only used it for the journey. I don't post on that. That was for just IVF.
So when you were doing that journey, were you still maintaining your main channel, the makeup channel? Or is that where you also talked about the gray hair journey as well?
I think, it's interesting that you asked that. I think that I was trying to maintain as much as I could, but the vlogging was just because I was traveling to Colorado so much and I was spending so much time out there, doing different cycles and retrievals, that it really was about that vlogging period. I did still post on my main channel, but it just was so all consuming. It was very hard to do anything. I took so much time off of work because of, trying to, get through this. So my YouTube lasted through this whole, journey. I didn't give up. I just, some months or that year wasn't as much of a heavy upload because of just, it's really hard to come on YouTube, and it takes a lot of energy and to do these videos and make them really quality when you're like emotionally like depleted, and it really takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. It does. It's a ton of energy because you got to be in front of the camera and you got to be there, and the audience senses things as well. And so, all right. So you had your main channel, your beauty channel, and then you had this vlogging channel. But then did the vlogging channel grow through your journey, or did you end up, how help me understand, like with the two channels now, I'm assuming now you have one. Right. How did that blow up in the sense that how did it help the main channel? Which I'm assuming the channel you have now was your main channel back then, right?
Yes. So I never anticipated on having two channels. Yeah. I just felt like my main channel's beauty and, hair and style and what have you. And I felt it was a deviation from focus to having like, oh, by the way, let me like flood it with all this IVF and doctor stuff. And it's, I just didn't feel like the audience it's not right. So I took it to another channel, which was called Not Just a Beauty Blogger. And I felt like, there's more to it than just beauty and what have you. So I felt that it was a great space to have a second channel because there were other girls doing IVF journeys. And I felt like it would be more of a focus for someone that was really interested in that, and not like, oh, I'm here for beauty, but I'm getting IVF. Like, I'm not interested. So that's the only reason I did it. And I think that channel was for 2 years, and then I just left it up so it could maybe help someone else or everything I discovered. And I literally haven't ever gone back to watch the videos, but I did land on one a couple of years ago, and I was like, who is that girl? Like, why do you know so much medical information? Because I was so into it. Yeah. And I was so like obsessed with figuring out and learning and just challenging the system. And so I just felt like that was just a little side to help me get through it. I felt it was very cathartic to be able to share and to feel like I wasn't alone. And I had so much support from so many women from all over the world. And I had a blog at the same time. So it basically was together. And then once I closed out my journey in 2000, it was October 2018. Or was it 17? I don't know. It seems like, can never get dates right. I felt like I literally got out of jail and I was back to I wrote a book that year. Like I was really like, I felt like I, took a step back for so long that I really just ramped up again with my channel. And, it brings me to my next point of really when did I built my audience becoming authentic, right? So I was working on my YouTube since 2010, never stopped. Yes, it's discouraging, but I kept going and I kept going. Became authentic in 2015, really grew my audience there because.
So on your main channel, you grew the audience? Okay.
Yep.
My
main audience really started showing up in 2015 because I just was like, that's when I did my gray hair. Like someone asked, like, how did you go gray or whatever? I'm like, I really just stopped dying. Like there was really no journey.
Yeah.
It was just like,
It's
here
all
I am.
natural.
Yeah. Like it is what it is. I can't fight it any longer.
Mhm.
And then when my audience kept calling into the studio and saying, hey, we love seeing you, but I'm 50 or I'm 60. I want to see like someone like my age and what have you. And they kept calling in, and I saw so many messages that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'll do a month of 40s or 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'll pick, one of my clients that's 80. She still does her hair, which is great. I'll pick my mom in her 70s. I had a friend that is a silver haired model that's in her 50s. And then I picked another blogger that was in her 60s. So I hit every decade. And so I did this and I called it Fierce Aging. And that was March of 2019. And that's really where my channel like exploded. Because taking real women with real problems, like no one wants to do makeup on women that, have wrinkles and pigmentation, and it's harder, it's harder as an artist, doing young faces or models. It's like, I mean, how easy, like, how can you make them look bad? Taking older women that really have problems, whether it's bags, whether it's pigmentation, whether it's no eyebrows, that's a real challenge. So I really enjoyed it. And that's really where my channel, got on the map because of that series. And I've continued the series since.
Yeah. And so at that time, you had started your gray hair journey on your channel as well, right?
Yeah, there is no hiding it.
Yeah.
I went from literally black and white to just watching it develop.
And so when you were going through that journey, were you speaking about it on your channel and addressing it in like videos and talking about it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I did a lot. I didn't want to be just so heavy into gray hair because, it's not everyone's choice. It doesn't mean, just because you're aging, you have to go gray. I say it all the time. There's no beauty rules. If you want to dye your hair until you're 100, great. Like just for me and my experience and my journey, I just couldn't, it didn't make sense. I would dye it and it turned like an orangey brown. And then literally under 2 weeks, I'm having roots. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like I'm never going to be able to, I'm like chasing like the gray. I was just like, I'm over it. So let's just see what happens. And at one point I felt like where I remember it was right before my 40th birthday. I saw so much silver and I felt bad dyeing it. I was like, there's something about this that I feel like it has a story to tell. And you'll see that with a lot of women that go gray, like the pattern's different. It comes out different. Like, it's almost like, I always felt like, and I've said it so many times that it was like the old me was leaving and I had the new me and I had to accept it. So that was what was really interesting, because it was like the acceptance part. Like, this is not what I want, or I never thought I would go. I mean, like, who thinks they're going to go gray like this? Like, especially
at 40 years old. Yeah.
So I was just like, let me embrace it. Like, well, I was so tired of fighting with doctors, fighting with my body, fighting everything. I just said, you know what? I'm going to let it go. And if I hate it, I can always dye it. But that just never happened.
And so it sounds like the reaction from your audience and from YouTube in general was quite positive with that kind of declaration and that change.
I mean, I definitely had a lot of support. I think it was a big inspiration to see somebody, take something that really wasn't ideal, such as IVF and just the struggles and everything that went through, and have like the silver lining, pardon the pun, out of it. I didn't even think about the negative side of it. Like, I never thought about, oh, maybe this will really ruffle some people's feathers, or maybe this won't be, and it is very interesting because, my main mission is just to inspire women, to support women, to get women back into makeup that maybe kind of have left themselves or feel like they're out of the game because they're older. And the comments from some women are just so brutal. It was like, wow, like, but what I redirected as, because I know a lot of influencers get this, is that they're just not part of my tribe, and it's very obvious. And so, I had recently, sometimes will post the comments. I mean, it's on a public platform. So if they don't want it to be seen or exposed, they shouldn't really write it. So I would kind of highlight, and say, yeah, and then it's funny, every time I would respond and be like, whatever the person's name is, oh, Sally, it's, thank you so much for leaving that sweet
Such
comment,
a thoughtful comment.
Yeah. And it's funny because they always take it down. And so on my channel recently, I said, ladies, if you're going to come to the party and be Debbie Downer, don't delete your comment when I respond, because you want me to obviously see it and, acknowledge it. Don't take it down. Let everybody else see that.
Own it.
You don't belong in this group, because we're here to support and to enrich and to learn from each other, not to tear each other down because of a hair color. I mean, of all things, it's like, it's like a hair color,
What you mean to tear you down? Were they like talking bad about you and like,
oh gosh. I mean, I get so much for my eyebrows and my hair. And the funny thing is that I think to myself when I see these, like, this is me just natural. Like, this is me like doing nothing, right? Just natural hair. I'm Greek, so obviously my eyebrows are thicker. And I think to myself, like, if I listen to all these people, I don't know what I would look like if I listened to everybody, like, and changed myself for people, right? I would have probably no eyebrows or the thinnest eyebrows ever, which would not balance my face out. I would have probably 15 different color, my hair would be 15 different colors to appease what people keep saying. So I think this is really important. I think it's very hard for influencers that do find, rapid success, or, now with different platforms being able to have a lot of exposure very quickly, that they have to be really grounded in themselves and to almost, it's like protecting your energy, because it can really, if you allow yourself to constantly read negativity about, like, from people that don't even know you, it's really like, you always just have to ask yourself, okay, wait a second. Is this person paying my mortgage? No, they're not. So why would I need to, why is it affecting my life? Why
are you giving them importance?
Right. Yeah. I think that it's so hard too, because, you put so much passion and effort and energy into your content, whatever platform you're on. And then when you, sometimes it comes in waves, like sometimes it's a lot. And then sometimes it's just here and there, just the negativity. And I think that you just have to, focus in on what's important to you, because it's not easy. No, I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, negative comments, no biggie. Like, it doesn't affect me. Oh, it definitely affects me. But I've learned to channel that negative energy into a way that it works for me. So how
are you able to do that? Because I know for a lot of creators, that's a tough thing for them. I mean, they're doing something like that everybody says, right? Mm-hmm. Embrace your authentic self, be who you truly are. And you're like, okay, game on, I'm doing it. And then it's like, boom, like you get this hate. And then you're like, wait, that's what I was supposed to be doing. So how do you handle that?
Well, I like to be able to communicate with my audience. So I obviously read the comments when it comes to YouTube and really YouTube. So there are a lot of questions and a lot of really important things that I want to address. And then when I come across the negative ones, I usually will screenshot them so I can, sometimes when you read things fast, or you could take things the wrong way. So I like to I don't like to have impulse reactions to comments and what have you. Let me just sit with it. Like, where is this person coming from, kind of thing. And then, I think a lot of like the negativity and the stress part of it, I turn into like working out. Like, I'm always on my spin bike, and I take that kind of energy and I focus in on other things, like where I want to be. And like, so if those things are kind of bringing me down, like, oh, so much negativity, I got to get rid of this energy because it's not useful. Like, it really does affect, I think, creators. Because when, people will say, oh, you say this word all the time, they'll write all these comments, oh, it's so annoying, this and that. So then you go on to film and you're like, oh my gosh, like, it's in the back of your mind, like, oh, don't say this word, don't say that. And then it really affects your performance. So it's kind of like, okay, I need to take them, I'll work out, I'll manifest, I'll do visualization, like where I want to be, like letting that go. Like, I just think that for me, it's always been working out, because that's a way I can manage, and I can swiftly move my energy from being like taking it all in, like, oh, it's so negative, so negative. And I'm carrying that around for other people's issues. I'm like, okay, I just need to let it go. So I think that finding a healthy outlet is really important for influencers to know that just because someone says something about you doesn't mean it's true, or, it's relevant to you. It depends. You got to pick and choose what you concentrate on, because it's definitely going to affect your channel.
Oh yeah, because if you put your energy towards those negative comments and you're, thinking about them, it's going to have an impact on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or like what you said is, don't focus on it, and channel your energy elsewhere. It's so important for creators. So thank you for sharing that. So now we're going to head into the second part of the interview, where I go through the same questions I ask everyone that's been on the show, kind of rapid fire. So kind of just the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So, all right. What is your number one struggle with YouTube?
Oh, my number one struggle, I think, would be just really content in general, like new, like you can't keep repeating the same thing when you're in a niche market. So that's like the hardest thing.
So how do you come out with new content or new ideas?
I'm always researching, always thinking, I take real life experiences that I've had and I turn them into videos, or, those have been some of my best videos of things that, that happened. I mean, I was right before a video, I was eating so fast, and I was like, I was like so crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm choking on my food. Like, oh my gosh, this is like a real problem. This has happened before. So I went on, I totally wiped the title off of my channel that I was going to do for that day. And I was like, ladies, like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, that was the title of the video. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't keep rushing through life and like eating so fast that I literally feel like I'm like it's in my throat still. Like, I don't know. It's like really concerning. And I had so many comments of ladies, and they were so funny too. I mean, these people were like, oh my gosh, this happens to me all the time. Like, oh my gosh. And I thought that I was like the weirdo that like this happened to. Yes. Yeah. I was like, this is so embarrassing, but I just can't do it anymore. Like, I gotta tell, like, I just feel like I'm always stressed coming on, like trying to do so much in a small period of time. And the ladies were so supportive, and they were so funny, because so many people said, this happens to me. Oh my gosh, or they talk about their husband, or I felt so much better after this video. I was so embarrassed, but those are some things that I think are really important to influencers, to not always follow like this script of, oh, it has to be like, these people are doing titles that are doing so well, so I'm going to do titles. No, like, take your real life and like real things that you are passionate about or happened, or, even if they are like, you're like, oh, I don't know if I should put it out. You still have the option to edit and review and then put it out. But I just think those are like the best kind of videos of just people can relate to you. And I think that's what everybody really wants to do, is relate to who they're watching.
Oh, I love that, because I work with a lot of creators, and I always say, like, your best ideas and inspiration is like in your real life. Like, just look around, or just kind of like sometimes like taking a break from working and just living life. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool. I love that. If you were to start over with your channel right now, what, if anything, would you do differently?
I wouldn't do anything differently. I think the journey has been, I mean, like what now, 12 years, I mean, of consistently like showing up. I don't think I would change anything. I think it's taken the course that it should. And I learned so much through every year and every video and every troubleshooting and all of it. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. What is your number one tip for preserving your mental health as a creator?
My number one tip is really, and this is something I've really concentrated on this year, is self-care, taking the time out to like nurture yourself. And I know that people are like, yeah, okay, self-care, it's been used so much, especially in the last 2 years, but you cannot run on empty. So you have nothing to give if your tank is empty. So you have to keep filling up your tank, whether that's going out for coffee. It could be all different types of self-care. I'm not, I think when people think self-care, they're like, oh, you're at a spa or doing all this stuff. No, it's eating properly. It's working out. It's really tuning into, do you need talk therapy? Do you need to work things out? Like really being in tune to yourself, because you can get really lost in the sea of all of this and then lose yourself. And then really, like, I think that's really the problem, is just not just being able to focus in on yourself, knowing what you need. So
Yeah.
you can be able to give to others, because if you don't, then it's like, you're just so depleted.
Yeah, I love that. And I think even for everybody, and you said knowing what you need, I think everybody, it's really different. I think
Mhm.
for people that are more, everyone thinks of self-care, like you said, like being in a bathtub and spa or whatever, but that's
Right.
not necessarily the same for everybody, because some people are introverts and that might work for them. And like for me, for example, I'm an extrovert, and my self-care is actually like spending time with friends and like, having
Mhm.
lunch with a girlfriend. Like that for me is self-care, and like getting out of like the work mode and like, going out and doing things, right? So
Exactly.
it's like you need to know what that is for you,
Mhm.
and then prioritize it. So
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really important. I think
mhm.
I'm very strong on my channel about mental health, especially for my audience,
Mm.
and not leaving yourself and putting yourself last.
Yeah, and I think as women, it happens a lot.
It does. It does.
What is your favorite video you've uploaded to your channel?
I have to say it's my most popular video is with my mom. I did that.
Hmm.
The story is, she wasn't going to do it. I had called her and I said, "Oh, I was like, this is going to be great. I need you for the 70s decade." And she was like,
Mm.
"Oh no, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to do it." 'Cause she's very shy and she's not,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Well, wait, like, I don't have anybody else, so you have to do it." And she's like, "No, no, I don't want to do it." And so she called back like half an hour later and she's like, "Okay, I'll do it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm here, ready. Come on, just come over." And so the funny thing is that she was so stressed in the video. People have said this about it, but she was such a sport to show up, and it's over 2.2 million. I mean, it was like
Oh, wow. So it went
it
viral.
was my
Oh my
biggest
gosh.
video, and it was part of that series of Fierce Aging. And it
Wow.
was just so special because it was with my mom, and we really didn't know what we were doing. And I used a palette I never used before, but I was like, you know what, she needs it and it's going to look beautiful. And, she was such a great sport. I was so proud of her for showing up and going through it. I knew she was uncomfortable, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was my biggest video.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. Is there any video you were really excited about that just didn't do well on your channel?
Gosh, I have so many videos that, you never know when a good, like sometimes I have videos coming out and I'm like, it's not going to be good. It's just not going to be good. Like, oh, I should even upload it. And then meanwhile, it's like almost at a million,
Yeah.
it's like, you
Yeah.
just never know what's going to really like resonate with people, so you can't really second guess. I think you just need to do the best you can do and be proud of every video you put out. You're definitely going to have like, oh, I don't know if that's so good, or, oh no, I'm kind of second guessing. I second guess a lot of things, but I think just the execution of just doing it, like not holding back and stopping yourself, because you could second guess every single video and every single thing you do, and you can overanalyze and then forget it. You're never going to be posting or moving forward. You just have to kind of like kind of flow with like your videos and what you think is like going to be good for your audience.
Yeah, I like that. What is the biggest opportunity you got as a result of being a YouTube content creator?
My biggest opportunity. I've had some really, it's interesting because when I went gray, I was like, I had been a model my whole life, and I thought, oh, no agency is ever going to touch me. I mean, like, what kind of category could I fit in? And that's really when my career started, like I had said. And I got a really great opportunity in 2019 with Pantene. They flew me to London, and I did this commercial with, I think it was 5 other silver-haired girls, and everybody was at different stages of their journey and what have you. And it was just really wonderful that they really wanted me to talk about IVF. So I did in this commercial. And I think that was just so, such a milestone for me to be able to be in a commercial with a company like that, talking about gray hair, but also talking about IVF. So I think
Wow.
that it was just like really a powerful woman-based kind of topics. And, it was just so much support with all these other girls showing you that you can do it. And, it's just color. I mean, if you want
Mhm.
to, that was really nice. And then I also had Ipsy. I went to LA in 2019 and did a campaign with them, and it was about my journey with IVF and the whole thing too, and about being unique and different, and beauty takes on all different types of, shapes and sizes and journeys. And that was a really, because it's about my story, it's not like I'm just
talking about beauty products or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just not like this person behind a product, whatever. It's a real story. It's really my life and my experiences, and showing you that, you can get through those things. There can be silver linings. It can be beautiful. It's the perspective and reframing things, and just trying to be inspirational for other women that might be going through hard times.
Oh, I think that's so cool. And I'm sure that's awesome for you to be able to have whatever that footage is or whatever came from that, to just have that as part of your, just as a memory,
It is.
That's cool. Nice. What is your superpower that you think has led to your success?
A burning desire to make a difference. I think that I have 3 words that I say a lot on my channel: is bold, fierce, and unapologetic. And I feel that you have to have these, kind of words that keep, why are you doing it? It took a lot. Like, I am very unapologetic about, I don't need to apologize for the journey or the choice to go gray or the choice to, really build a community of women and be different. And everybody comes with such special gifts, everybody's different. And I love that. And I love that we, everyone's learning from each other. And I just think, and I know women can be supportive of women because I see it all the time. I have a Facebook group that has 17,000 women in it. It's a private group, and they're so encouraging to each other. And it's nice to see other women a little bit along in the journey or aging, not just gray hair, that are just giving advice or makeup advice or skincare. And, I love that you have to have the desire, you have to, it's either, I always say you're either in or you're out, you're not kind of doing it. So,
oh yeah, you can't have, you have to be fully committed.
Correct.
Yeah, totally. And last question, what is your number one piece of advice you would tell somebody who is just starting out on YouTube?
To not give up. That's the easiest thing to do, is to give up. I mean, I think that it's so different now from when I started, right? Because there wasn't social media. There wasn't really Instagram. No, I think Instagram started, 2014, maybe? I don't know. But so much it's so different now because everyone goes into it wanting to be like they want everything viral and they want everything fast and they want everything. I mean, for someone being on YouTube for 12 years and not seeing anything for at least 6, right? I mean, if you're passionate about it and it's your desire and you have something that you can give the world, which everyone does, whatever your niche is, anything. You just have to keep showing up, because that's what's going to get you through the door, is you showing up, you showing what you have to offer. If you decide, oh, you know what, I did it for a couple months and no one really watches it and what have you, you're not going to be able to get where you want to get, because it does take work. Yeah. I think a lot of people go into this industry thinking like, oh, no big deal, like little videos, I'll do this and that and whatever. It is really a lot of work. And it's a lot of physical, mental work and everything. And I think that if you want it, doesn't matter what it is, you'll get it if you have that burning desire, that passion.
Yeah, you have to have it, because it's not just about going viral too. So you go viral and then what, right? It's like there's just so much to it that I think people, like you said, it's almost become so normalized that everyone has an Instagram and everyone's on social media. But the people that are really doing it, people like yourself, Nikol, it's like just the level of commitment that you have to have. It's insane. So thank you so much for coming onto the show. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. I loved
it. I'm so happy. I love that you're doing this and really helping other people, really kind of navigate with your podcast and everything. I think people can learn so much from you and everyone that you interview, because it's definitely a journey.
Yeah, I think that was my mission, and I think it's wonderful that you have your mission for helping women, because it's the same thing for me. It's like, I think these stories are so fascinating and so interesting, and there's so much to them, and I love sharing them. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful.
Where can people find you if they're not familiar with you and your content?
Well, on YouTube, I'm Nikol Johnson with a K, Nikol. And on Instagram, at Fresh Beauty Studio. That was the name of my company when I started in 2006. And then TikTok, I'm Nikol Cosmetics. And then you can always go to my website, which is nikolcosmetics.com.
I'll link all that in the description below so you guys can go check her out and her fabulous channel. Nikol, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Erika.
Bye.
Bye.